Let's bring in for more reaction of what we learned about the cybertruck explosion at Trump's hotel in Las Vegas. James Fitzgerald, retired FBI supervisory special agent, and Steve Rogers, former FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force member. Thank you both for joining us. Steve, let me go to you first. I'm struck by what I heard in both New Orleans, there in Las Vegas. They're so slow to be able to say, hey, this was terrorism. I don't understand why you don't just start with the supposition that it is terrorism and then work backwards from there. I mean, you had an attack in New Orleans. It was using an electric vehicle. Here's another electric vehicle. And two incidents there in the morning at the Trump Tower. Are you kidding me? Why would that not be the starting point?
You know, Jason, I'm so glad you brought up that point. That New Orleans situation, yes, a tragedy. Bring up the starting point about the people that were killed and et cetera. But I've got to tell you, I was so happy that you said that, because why have in New Orleans all these politicians running to the microphone for their 15 minutes of fame? What we saw happen in Las Vegas, we saw law enforcement personnel from the FBI, the local police, the sheriff, et cetera, at least bring credible information. There was no conflict over the FBI saying, well, it's not a terrorist attack, and the chief coming on and saying it is, and on and on and on. But I've got to tell you, the press here was good. We got some accurate information. Hopefully we'll get more information as we move forward. But in New Orleans, they got to get their act together. They brought no comfort to the people.
Yeah, Steve, I thought you want to see a competent press conference. That was it right there. James, let me go to you here. They're in New Orleans. I mean, they're worried about the idea that there are still an unknown number of persons who were potentially involved and engaged in this attack in New Orleans. What is the FBI doing? What are they looking for? How do they hunt these people down? What's step 1, 2, and 3 to get this situation under control there in Louisiana?
Well, it's really steps through 1 through 1,000 they're undertaking now, the FBI and their law enforcement partners in New Orleans. First of all, they're going to do a psychological autopsy on the killer, the driver of the vehicle. And there'll be a physical autopsy, of course, but they're also going to go into all of his digital computers, phones, everything he has, anything on social media, to find out who he's been in touch with. Obviously, they're going to look into surveillance cameras throughout the whole city. 24 hours before. They're going to go back to Eagle Pass, Texas, where apparently the truck originally came from, and they're going to try to piece everything together there to look for this. Now, what I'm very interested in is there are several IEDs found in the truck as well as in the New Orleans area. Bombs have signatures to them. And I learned this with the Unabomber. They have very specific indicators when they build bombs. So what I would want to learn from our bomb techs, the IED specialists, is in fact, were these similar type bombs? Were they recognized from someone overseas? Because there's a database of all different kinds of IEDs from internationally. And I want to see if these devices in this car and elsewhere are made by the same person. Were they amateurish? Were they sophisticated? That'll tell us a lot, too, about who the FBI and others are looking for in New Orleans and perhaps the rest of the country.
Steve, it's my understanding that federal law enforcement sent to local law enforcement an advisory earlier saying that vehicle ramming was a tactic to be looked out for. And in New Orleans, I mean, they quickly got around the car because you had this barrier that wasn't working. And the barrier that they put in place was obviously inadequate, because I saw at least what I think was the video of the car going just around a police car before it poured down that street and killed all these people. And then obviously, you can't protect every road or you wouldn't have a road. So how do you find the proper balance? What does law enforcement do now that we've had these two attacks? What are large gatherings of people supposed to do to protect themselves?
Well, we can only do the best we could, Jason. You can't guarantee 100% that there's not going to be such an attack, but they have to do what I've hoped that they've been doing all along, is make sure that they see what's going on with regard to chatter on the internet, that they have a lot of human resources out there who are listening and watching. It's very, very important that our intelligence agencies come together, share information, and do the best they could to prevent this. But we can't guarantee 100% that something like this is not going to happen again.
Well, it's a sad day and a sad situation. Fortunately, that situation in Las Vegas wasn't much worse. James and Steve, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.